you always got along with your husbands? Husbands, you always got along with your wives?
Nope.
I'm praying for you, Marco. Every day, brother, I'm praying for you. So as we look at what's happening here, it hasn't dissipated our love. We just haven't been walking in the unity that we need to be in because we're at one another's throats, so to say. And that's when the love of God must abound. Somebody will ask me, and I'll be on the phone with some people that are shut in, and one of the things they first ask me, well, how's Miss Rhonda doing? I said, she is mean as a snake. How many of you heard me tell you that on the phone? Nobody in this room? Miss Judy has? There you go. Mean as a snake. Somebody asked me this morning, how's your mom doing? I said, you know what my mom's nickname is? My brother-in-law said named her the Cobra. The Cobra. Because that little 4'10" individual, she will raise her head up, bang, she'll snap you before you know what happened. Yeah, I ain't kidding you. My brother-in-laws have named her the Cobra because of her ability to strike and be potent when she strikes. Does that change our love? We always get along? We always be walking hand in hand? No. But we still yet must love each other.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Right.
Come on. I'm not sharing nothing with you not in the Word of God. Open part ain't in there. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Now let's take all this brotherly love and the depth and the height and the breadth and the length of the love of God. Let's take it to these three quick little points. I'll do a quick little study with you, and then we'll quit. So let's look at thou shalt love. Thou shalt love. First off, James is going to share with us, love is the highest expression. The highest expression. How many of you remember the first time your boyfriend, girlfriend tells you, I love you? Anybody remember that? I heard some moaning in here more than I did.
He said it like Ernest T, didn't he?
Remember that? Did it, in a sense, knock your socks off? Were you blown away by that? Did your heart skip a beat? It did?
Yes.
Man, that's pretty good. It's good. And it just almost may have captivated you to the point, they just said they loved me. And it may even take your breath away. But that is the deepest or the highest expression. And what they're telling you is, of everybody else I've ever seen or been a part of, I love you more than any other. That's what they're saying. It's the very highest expression possible that they're giving away. There's no other, I mean, we might say it like this, I love you as much as biscuits and gravy. What? Or you're my butter, my bread. And we've heard all these little terms, but it's not really the expression that you want. The love, the highest expression of the love that you want is something that cannot be compared to. Like this way. I love Rhonda. We're sitting back there in the office. I'll tell you a little bit about the afternoon. She's over there on her phone. I'm just recapping some things, looking at some things. She's occupying herself, keeping me updated on the Cubs score and all the stuff she's doing to help me. And in the middle of all that, I grabbed my phone, I sent her a little text, I said, I love you. She's 4 feet away from me. I can verbally say that to her. But I see her with her phone there. She's got it right here in front of her face, and I just shoot her a little text, I love you. No emojis, no smiley faces, no hearts, no nothing. Mine comes back, it's blown up with 20 emojis. I love you more, I love you too, and she expresses it all back to me. What I'm telling Rhonda is that there's no other woman that I want to give myself to, not just emotionally, but physically in every way. Nobody more I want to share love with or life with than Rhonda. Do you know that's exactly what God wants to do with us? We as His bride, He is expressing that same thing to us. If He's sending us a text message, here it is saying, I love you. There's emojis everywhere in here telling you how much He loves you. The expressions are all in the text. All you have to do is take time to read how much He loves you. Amen? All right, so let's look at it. The highest expression of love is put in action. Okay? Look. If you really want to show or express your love, You don't just say it with your mouth. Love is an action word. We understand that correctly?
Yes.
Right? We got that? It's an action word. How do we know that Jesus loved us? He put it in action. He went to Calvary, hung on the cross, and He died for our sins. He gave Himself. He sacrificed. He gave love, action, showing everything about it, that He's willing to give it all away just for you. Did you deserve it, by the way? No. No. Nobody has ever. But He loved you enough, even despite of what you did or did not deserve, He still gave it to you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, so the highest expression is put in action or in motion. Here's what it is. It's limitless. There's no limit to the love that you can give. None. None. How do you know that, preacher? Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23 talks about the spirits of the godly. Love, joy, peace, happiness, meekness, gentleness. And he goes on to say, of all those that we just mentioned, against such there is no law. Meaning there's no limits to how much of that I can give you. I can love you, let's say, in a million ways. I can be meek to you in a million ways. I can be gentle to you. There's no limits to that. And that's what he's saying, limitless. Okay, I'm going to read you the verses. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22 and 23. I want you to catch this, if I can share with you that way. Galatians chapter 5 in verse number 19 through 21. 19 through 21 talks about things of the world. Okay? Talks about the works of the flesh are manifest, and here they are. Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, and on it goes. So in those verses, there are all those things that are wrapped up. 17 works of the flesh are there. But in the works of the Spirit of God, in the believer, there are only 9. 9 to 17 is 8.5. Right? 8.5 twice to 17. Am I right about that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So there's a little smidgen more numerically in the half point of it. But every one of the half that are in the Spirit will always conquer the 17 that are in the flesh. I hope you got that. Did you get that? 9 always will beat those 17. Well, preacher, the odds are stacked against you. No, they're not. They're in your favor. Because you're working in the Spirit of God over the flesh of the world. And when you do those in the first 9 things, you will always conquer those 17 things.
That's right.
Okay? You see how that all works out? All right. Let's quickly go over that. Okay, quickly. Remember, I'm teaching, preaching, and all that stuff together. Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envies, murders, drunkenness, revilings, and such like. Meaning there's more than those 17. Okay? But the fruit of the Spirit, and the first one mentioned to us is love. Love will always conquer those 17 and then some. With me? Love, then joy, then peace, and long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law or limit. Continue to do it. So what am I saying, letter A on the board? This love, this highest expression, is limitless. That's found in Galatians 5. But letter B, I also want you to see, is loyalty. It's loyalty. I told you what was going on in the back today. Rhonda's loyalty to the Cubs. We had some friends come over yesterday for just a little bit, and he's diehard, kind of borderline psychotic Cub fan like Rhonda. So much to the point that he named his dog Wrigley. I mean, that's so crazy. Anyway, so they're showing you their loyalty to their team. Right?
That's right.
You want to go a little crazy, a little further. Rhonda's brother, who works for the Nashville Predators hockey team, has a Chicago Blackhawks tattoo on his calf even though he works for the Nashville Predators in Tennessee. He's got a big old Chicago Blackhawks hat on his calf, showing his loyalty, even though he's working for somebody else, but true down deep inside, his loyalty is for the Blackhawks. Okay, you with me on this? You got it? There's some sense of loyalty. But here's what I want you to see about the loyalty. It is not a devotion to work or for a cause. I'm not trying to further the Chicago Cubs or the Blackhawks. I'm not trying to push their agenda out, if I may say it that way. I'm not trying to express that. Yes, I was down at the parade when the Cubs won the World Series. Yes, I stood there on Michigan Avenue and I cheered as they came by. But I am not out promoting them and loyalty to them. My loyalty begins and starts with the cross of Calvary. Why is that? Because Jesus put his loyalty and love towards me in action. I guarantee you this, of the 5 million people that were down there at the parade that day, there's not one Cub individual in any part of the team, whether they're management, the ball boy, or anybody else, who would recognize Ron and I's face standing in the crowd of 5 million. What does that mean, preacher? You know who saw us there that day? The Lord knew where we were.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because his love is loyal to us. Okay, so it's not about a devotion to a work or a certain cause, but our love has to be loyal to the Lord. Loyal to the Lord. And when we do that properly, everything else will work out just right.
Right.
Does that mean your favorite baseball team's winning the World Series this year? I doubt it. I doubt it. I'm just saying, you get yourself right with God and everything else will be just fine. Amen?
Amen.
It may not go exactly the way you want it, but it'll be all right.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. All right, James, I got more on that, but let's go to number two. Number two. So love is the highest expression. Secondly, love is a humbling experience. Humbling experience. Humbling experience. I want to say this, but I don't know if I want to say this. If it comes back to me, I'll share it with you. It starts out this way. First off, in a desire. A humbling experience. A desire. Where does the desire come from? I'm glad you asked me. You were here this morning, you know we preached from Psalm 63. All right, Psalm 63, let's share a little bit with you there one more time. Here is the humbling desire. The humbling desire is verses 1 through 3 of Psalm 63. And it says like this. O God, thou art my God. Earnestly will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where there is no water. To see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary, because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. So my desire has to be to spend time with God. What are we talking about? Humbling experiences. Have you ever put yourself out so far in love that you've embarrassed yourself? Boy, that got quiet. Have you ever given yourself away in such a way of love and it kind of made you a little red face? Maybe that experience that you thought was going to be just the best climactic moment, man, you're going to win her, she's going to win you, or whatever, and however that is for you. You know, you got the table spread, you got the roses out, you're going to celebrate, all the stuff's going to and then nothing works. That's humbling experience, right? Right? Here's the problem with the men that they're involved in that. The men think just because it worked 5 years ago, it's going to work today. Oh, got some laughter out of the women on that, and smiles around the room. Yeah. Well, that's not always the case. Fresh and new, you got to come back around to something here. All right, I'm going somewhere with this. I want you to just pay attention now that the desire is a humbling experience. He says here in Psalm 63, O God, thou art my God, and earnestly will I seek thee. He's simply saying, I'm putting me down that I can lift you up.
Yeah.
I'm putting me down. That's humbling. Humbling. Listen. The song that the Pelfreys sing right now, the ground is level at the cross. If any of us expect to experience God's love, we all must get down to the same level. What does that mean? All of us got to get down to the same level. That's a humbling experience. You got to bow yourself to Him.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, here's what I want to see about it. Charles Spurgeon said it this way. He said, a man's heart has only enough life in it to pursue after one object fully. One object fully. How many of you, men meaning men and women, how many of you have just had your mind going 100 different ways? Well, welcome to my world. I would like for you on a Sunday afternoon, I want you to do this for me next Sunday. Just one or two. I'll open the doors. I'm going to stand outside on the stoop, and I want you to maintain every conversation that takes place with me on the way out. Okay? I want you to do that. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to ask you some questions. Tell me what Tim said. Tell me what Jeff said. Tell me what Kathy said. What were we talking about right here? Here's what happens. Everybody's coming out. They're going this way. I'm standing there. And this one's talking to me. Bang, bang, bang. This one's talking over here. We're talking about this. And then somebody goes around. I walk them over here a little bit. Come back. Somebody's talking about this. Everything's going around. And my attention cannot be fully given to one. I'll give you a quick example. Miss Janet put in the prayer card for one of the young ones in her family. A little infant in the hospital in Indianapolis. And I could not make out the name that she wrote on the card. So I shot her a text and I said, can you tell me that little child's name that's in the hospital in Indianapolis? She said, preacher, I told you about that just the other day. I said, yeah, and I see the prayer card. I just can't make out the reading, or I just can't read the writing on the prayer card of the name. The name is Mackenzie. I couldn't make it out. But her response to me was, I just told you about that. Well, as Charles Spurgeon said, a man's heart has only enough life in it to pursue one object fully. He said, he goes on to say, well then, pursue Him. Our minds are scattered. Our brains are going a million different ways. And there's no way we can keep up with it all. But he said, in the midst of all your desires and trying to please everybody and do everything you possibly can, don't do that. Just please Him. Just please Him.
Amen.
With me?
Amen.
Our desire has to be to please Him. Secondly, but I also want you to see our dependency. This is coming from Psalm 20, verse 6 and 7. He says, now know I that the Lord saveth His anointed. He will hear him from His holy heaven with the saving strength of His right hand. Some trust in chariots. Here's the part about dependency. David said, some are trusting in chariots, some are trusting in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. So our desire is to follow after Him. And if we are doing that, then our dependency comes from Him. I know this sounds off. It doesn't sound right. But if you do your part, here's the wrong part, you're going to think. God has to do His part. Sounds wrong, right? But if God's calling us to live this way, and we live this way, then God has to respond that way. Oh, you don't think that's proper? I can hear it in your silence. Here's what I want you to see. If you're living right, then He responds right. He has to respond right. You think, oh, I don't know if He has to do anything. If you're living wrong, does He have to respond then? I'll say it again. If you're living wrong, does He have to respond to you then? There's an answer coming one way or the other.
Yeah.
Don't we move on? Sure. James number 3. Number 3. If you do right and live right, God has to respond to that. If you do wrong when you're trying to live right, when you do wrong, He's going to respond. How many of you ever whipped your kids? Yeah. You've done that. Even though they're trying to do right, they fail and do things wrong, you still respond to them. When they do right, what do? You esteem them. You lift them up. Man, you did a good job. You did an awesome job. Thank you very much. But when they do wrong, you still respond to them, don't you?
That's right.
Hey, you're paying. There's a response coming that way. So we see what happens, the highest expression, the humbling experience, but the last thing I want you to see, the heavenly exaltation. The heavenly exaltation. Love is a heavenly exaltation. The angels are